What are we doing today? Today, what I am doing is, this is Right or Not. If you are new to the project or new to watching me code, Right or Not is this pet project of mine, which is a markdown powered tool to write books. I'm a book author. I've written 10, 11 books now. About half of them are nonfiction about Django and Python, and the other half are fiction. And I'm always struggling with tools, and I know authors always, or wannabe authors, contact me and say, "Hey, what do?" Oh, thank you, Sky Forest. Many kudos to you. Maybe I'll ask for your autograph. Um, it's always a challenge to figure out how to write a book. And for example, Two Scoops of Django is written in LaTeX, like pure LaTeX, which makes it hard to convert, which makes lovely PDFs, but is hard to convert to EPUB and Mobi. Django Crash Course is written in Bookdown, and it's probably going to get moved to Mist, which is a parser for Sphinx. And we're going to have to do a bunch of work to make the PDF look decent, but the EPUBs and Mobi and a couple other things are lovely. And the fiction books are written in Google Docs, and it's just this ugly mess, and I know a lot of other authors struggle with it. So I have the book writing mechanism fixed. Let me just get these titles straightened out a little bit better, so that way I can tell the difference between them. Make this Django Crash Course. So what I want to do is, or what the plan is today, is to work on, we're going to take all the content in the chapters, which is mostly right now just junk content for testing the UI, and we're going to have a feature where you press a button here on this page that says render book, and then, hey, Gossam, glad you're here. How are you doing? So that's what we're gonna do. So first, let's add that button, and so that way we can easily. Hey, Fabio! Wow, everybody's here. That's cool. So let's create that button. So we're gonna go to. Hey, Relum. How's it going where you're at? Okay, so let's see. So I need to go to my templates, and this is a book form, and this is how buttons are created. This is Tailwind in action. So you might get to see a little bit of Tailwind, all right. So to make this work, what we need to do is first, what happens if I duplicate this? What happened? Okay, so that's really close. So let's see if we do. Oh, you know what we do? I know what we do. So right now it's just like there's no py. Let's increase that and see what we get. Oh, py. So we're looking for so py. Actually, what I'll do, I'm going to change the location of this. That's the easy way to do this. So what if I put up there? Okay, so build or render the book. So you don't feel comfortable with the Django templates? Well, that's fine. Everybody does things their own way. There's no right way to do the things that we're doing. So I actually think that's fine, and I'm not going to judge you or anything like that. That's if you want to do Vue or React or even Angular. I'm not personally a big fan of Angular. Then do that. I mean, part of being good at programming is like knowing that you're not always going to, you're not always going to like what other people like. And as long as you don't pick something that's super obscure, especially early in your career, there we go. So we have a nice green button. You don't feel what don't you feel good about with Django? And that's fine too. Like people like different tools and techniques. Is it Django or is it Python that you're uncomfortable with? So we have a button. Yeah, I was just about to ask that. So Skyfire said, do you prefer writing in Python or JavaScript? That's a really important question. I know, especially in the field of data science, like Python. Well, here's something for you, Rel. Maybe Django isn't what you want to do with Python. I mean, honestly, and I know I'm gonna catch flack for this, but I am not I like playing with Django and Django templates and Django forms and Django models. I don't like doing Django REST framework. If when I build the API, the third-party API for Write or Not, it's probably going to be in Fast API, just because to me, Django REST framework's great. I've used it quite a lot. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I don't know how to use it. But I like the clarity of Fast API when it comes to building APIs. It is, it's not shoehorned in the way that sometimes you get. I feel things are with Django REST framework. That said, I haven't used Fast API for complex resource design, but I've done it for Django REST framework, and I really, really did not like that. So it might just be a lack of experience on my part. But the point is that I should be able to say I'm not the biggest fan of Django REST framework. And Tom Christie, if you ever listen to this, if you hear about it, you're my buddy, you're my friend. We go back to what 8-9 years. And I love what you've done with Starlet and other things, and what you've done with Django REST framework is really impressive. I just personally don't like it. On the other hand, I know lots of people who just adore it. Okay, so rendering the book. When we triggered this, like right now, I just left this here. So what I want to do is, for when we render the book, I don't want to have this as a book view. Actually, I'm thinking of creating a new app called Builds, and the reason for that is that builds are gonna get complex over time. Right? I'm planning. If you think about it, I'm planning to support 4 or 5 of them. Let's see: EPUB, Mobi, PDF, HTML for letting people read online, Word documents because Vellum and other author tools require you to use Word. So that's 5, and there may be more formats in the future. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to create an app called Builds. Also, the other things, I want to track builds because our billing process is going to include how many builds. Our billing system will track how many builds you do. So if you build your book 50 times, you're going to get charged for building your book 50 times. I know that's crazy, but it'll when I get into building out pricing, it'll make a bit more sense. So let's start a new terminal. Yay. Oh, there we go. So I'm in the Write or Not. So I guess it just, when VS Code started, it didn't have me in my environment. Okay, So let's see. We have. I'm just thinking. This is what happens when you. Oh, that's right. I can use Django admin. Django admin.py. Actually, let's use start manage.py. Start project, and then this is going to be called builds. Okay, so now we have our builds. I can't see. There it is. So builds is right there. So let's move builds into the write or not project, and there it is. It just showed up. And oh, did I do this as start project? Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's not going to be its own project. It is going to be yeah, I can see it right there. Okay. Hey, real quick, is my text editor clear? One of the things I did is I changed the resolution on my screen. And I just want to make sure that the code that you're seeing is legible. Because if it isn't, I'll play around with font sizes and stuff until it is. Okay. Yeah, because that's part of why I upped the resolution. Because I can't. Was it you, Gossam, yesterday who was saying, or not yesterday, on Wednesday, who said that it was hard to read what I was doing? Okay, so we have builds. I think make sure that there are people who can memorize this, and I have to admit I'm not one of them. So okay, so builds. Okay, I can increase the size. I mean, there. How's that? Is that better? So one of the okay, perfect. So one of the things that I am actually, well, I'm a little bit out of practice, but I am arguably a qualified expert, or used to be, in web accessibility and accessibility in general. When I was at NASA, it was something that, learning about Section 508 and other things. So I know how to, all the hotkeys to memorize changing of the size of text that I'm playing with. So with across lots of tools. And I think, and I don't even know what they are because my hands have memorized the code. My brain doesn't know what it is. If you ask me, what keys do you hit? I'm like, I don't know. So, okay, so models. Let's get to models. So let's see, from model utils.b import. Oh, you know what? It's timestamp model. I don't know if that's right. Hold on. Well, let's see what happens when I try to build it. Let's see. We're gonna have creator equals models dot. Oh wait, this is tied to a book, right? Because what I could do is I was gonna say, all right, we have the creator and we have the book, but from the book we can get the creator. So database normalization means I just do this. Book equals models dot foreign key, and we're gonna do books dot book. And I just want to check a couple things, make sure. Yeah, see, this isn't using timestamp model. This is something that I want to do. And since I'm here, I might as well. That's right. So just seeing what we have there. don't need all these things. Too many things open. It's always confusing. Okay, so on delete, we'll just do set null. And then for this, we'll call it build. Actually, wouldn't it be book build? Would that be the right way to? We'll just call it that, and we'll see how the relation looks. If we don't like it, we can just reset it and start from scratch. And then I think so. We have the date and time, and we're gonna need a status field. So status. We'll just what else? If we're doing tracking builds, we could track like we could log the process of a build as a build goes, and I know that we could do it in log files, but maybe the answer is, and like shoot me down if I'm wrong, we do models dot what's it? Oh, it's array field. Let's look that up. Postgres Django array field, and we have like a text field. So imagine if we have I was speaking of array fields and stuff. I think that's one of the fields that's now going to be you can, if you're using MySQL, and while I do prefer Postgres, a lot of people use MySQL. So you'll be use these on MySQL and probably SQLite as well. The SQLite, it'll be the typical SQLite sort of text field pretending it's something else, which is fine. I love SQLite. Oh, and here it is. This is like the worst example in Django. The first time you're introduced to this field, they duplicate. They do nested. Instead of showing nested as a special case, their first example of it is hey, look, inside the array field, you can stick an array field. So why don't they just make a text field? Okay, so models dot text field. Okay, so and I think we can just leave it at this. We don't need to get any fancier than that. And would this be a log or logs? Because you know, if you look at the an Apache or server log, it's always like, you know, like error.log. So I think we'll just call it log without plural. That sounds right. Okay, so and then status field. Let's look up. The enum is still new to me, so I'm gonna look up how we implemented enum. Didn't we do enum over here? I thought we did an enum over here. Well, isn't that embarrassing? I can't remember how to do the enum field. Okay, let's look at Django enum field. Oh, field choices. Enum field choices. This is unfortunate that it's okay. So text choices. Here we go. Enumeration type. So we can do class status. And then we can do, let's come up with two fields to start with, or two choices. Oh, and we need to have, you can't see. Can you be more specific? Is it not large enough, or is it just not broadcasting anything to the stream? Or is it that you can't see what I'm doing, what I'm looking at here with what I'm seeing here? Is that better? Let me know so I can accommodate you. Okay, so if I look at this, we're gonna have created will be the first status. So created. We also will have what would be another one? Finished. We'll just keep it really simple right now because I have not thought through what statuses we need to have. Finished, and so my feed is frozen. Let me start and restart. Let me start and stop it. I'm gonna start and stop this. Don't go anywhere. Did that fix it? I'm gonna paste. Did that fix it? Oh, it is not working. That is not good. Let me do a speed test real quick. See what's going on. Yeah, I'm plugged in. Okay, it's plugged in now. I'm just gonna check what my download speed is, or my upload speed is. So my download is 94 megabytes per second, and then the upload speed is, oh, it's a little bit shaky. Look at that. It should be up to like 40 or 50 constantly. Well, we'll just keep going. Let me know if you have problems again. Okay, so we have finished. Right, and then and I'd like to have a long status because if we track the status in the log, then it means that people will see, hey, it's created, it finished. I just think that's a oh, you know what else we need? We need an error. Okay, so we're gonna do models.firefield max length equals let's do 20, or let's do 30 so we're safe. It's really, I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference. Choices equals status dot choices, and then our default is gonna be you probably can hear my daughter Uma. She just came into the room. Actually, I'm gonna change this from next time I stream, I'll have the blue screen set up. So I'll bring her into the stream, but we'll do that next time because we need to have the blue screen up, and I didn't have a chance to do it this morning. Okay, so I think this is good for now. We have the foreign key relationship to the book. We have a status field so we can track the status, and then the nice thing about having a timestamp model is we can create a property that tracks the duration of a build. You know, so I think it could be something like duration. So we could have return self dot so self dot modified date modify, I forget what the fields are, minus self, or modified, that's what it is, modified minus self self.created. So we can do this, and you know, that way we can track the duration. So let's see what happens if we try and write a migration for it. She's looking at no installed app. Oh, well, it might help if I add this. So we have settings. We need to add it to our installed apps, and we have did I name that correctly? Yeah, it's yellow. Oops. Might help if I name that correctly. Okay, so let's try and build it now. Oops, didn't like no model utils.db. Why am I like blanking on this? Is it just model utils? Hold on. Django model utils. I should know this. Okay, so it's model utils fields. Oh no, it would be model utils models. Oh, it's models. Okay, and status has no attribute of choices. So attribute error status has no attribute of choices. What did I get wrong there? Let's see. So status is our status models. Oh, models dot text choices. Okay, almost there. All right, so attribute error default. Yeah, default is a field that is in there, right? Oh, sorry, default is status.default. No, it's status created. Okay. Okay, so we can see what we're doing. Yes. Field specifies on delete set null but cannot be null. Oh, so hold on. So if this is made, hold on, let me make sure I'm doing on delete correct. Now I'm like worried I'm understanding how it works. So when an object referenced by a foreign key is deleted, Django will emulate the behavior of the SQL constraint. For example, if you have a nullable foreign key and you want to be set when the reference object is deleted, we actually want this cascaded. Actually, hold on, no we don't, because I just thought of something. This is an interesting use case. Let's say I've written a book and I've done 1,000 builds with it, and then I'm like, I don't want to write this book anymore. I'm gonna delete it. Well, we still need to track those builds because it's part of our billing process. You don't get out of having getting billed for something because you delete a book. So what that means is we need to I'm going to call this builder equals models dot. So we're going to have a relationship to the user object. And how did I do this? So creator, I'll just create this to builder, and then book builder. Excellent. So now we can change this to set null because we are still going to track who this is a person who created it, because maybe the person who's doing the build isn't the owner. We might put in that option, but more importantly, it's so we can track billing better. So null equals true. Thank you, Django. Settings is not defined. Oh, so here it's asking for the settings. This is for the auth user model. So we're gonna run django.conf import settings, and then just because I'm really finicky about this, okay. Hold on. I know the hotkey to get down. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So now we have a build, and what I will do now is let's do that. But actually, before I do that build, over here, these aren't timestamp models. See, this is models.model, and I like all my models to be timestamp models. So I'm gonna from model utils.models import timestamp model. Let's add this everywhere. So the reason why I like to add this everywhere is I always find that at some point I wish I had this data, or I don't know, it's always, but it's so common, and it's like, why not have it? It's not that much it's not that much time to do. So okay. Whoa. Oh, so I guess there's a start and end. It could be a SaaS product. I mean, that's part of why I want to do an API, is because imagine if we had a book building process and people were building content. I mean, the book interface I've done in previous episodes, that's, that was more for me to play around with templates and stuff. Actually, that's not quite correct. I mean, that provides us with a base interface. But billing is I did plan that billing centered quite a bit around how many books you had, and more importantly, how many builds you were doing, and then tell people, hey, go to town with it, like use it. And like billing, one of the things I plan to do is the more that you do builds, the cheaper it gets. So these are things that I had, been toying with in my crazy brain. Okay, so we have the build. Let's make sure that this duration field is working. It looks like it's self.end, self.start. So let's see what we have. We'll go to shell plus, and we're gonna just do a quick test of it. So we're gonna let's create a build object. Build. Actually, first I need a user and a book. So user equals user.objects first, whatever that is, and then we're gonna do the same with the book. Book equals book.objects.first. Okay, so we have the user, we have the book. Now I don't have any intention to make this a multi-tenant project. I don't see how that helps me in the slightest with this. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be convinced that I'm wrong. So we have builder and status. So let's do builder build dot user equals builder, or builder equals user, and then book equals book. Okay, so now we have the build, and then we have to do that, create a string thing, and then so's an end, so's a modified? So it is modified, but yet, when we did this, it said add field end and start, so I'm not sure what kind of fun monkery it's doing. So modified, but I'm not going to worry about it. The self return self. Let's see. We're gonna have something really simple. We're gonna do like book built by user. Oh, thank you. On oh, and this needs to be self.created. Self.builder. This is really long. This looked really good in my head, but all right, let's close this. And so build equals build dot. Hi. Oops. So when I built this, I didn't save it. So okay. So we have our build, and then let's save the build. Oh, look at that. So I need to make this not null, because this should have, when it saves, it should create a log. So let's see if we can just do that in the save instead with a post save signal. And so we're gonna do if log if self.log equals null, then we're gonna do let's see, we'll do self.log, and I think with this we pass in with the array field. Hey, you can hear my little girl in the background. I'm pretty sure that I just pass in an array, so I'll just do self.log equals and build started at actually what we can do is we can do self.status self.status at self.created. All right, so let's see what oh, and then return super dot save parts. I think that'll work. So first we need to get user, we get our book, and let's I don't know why I didn't. Null is not, oh my god. I can't believe I typed in null. I need to drink some coffee. That's what I need to do. Ooh. There's something spicy in there. That was okay. Alright, so we have a build. Let's take a look. So our build, wow, look at that. And we can do build.log. Look at that. Doesn't that look kind of like a this is so much exactly how I want it to look. And one thing that I'm almost wondering is shouldn't this actually be the same as this, right? Like all we need to do is because the only thing is, and in fact this log right here doesn't show who did it, or created by self.user. There we go. And then now this could be maybe we should make this the last record. That actually makes some sense, that we make this the last log item. So we could do self.log, and then this is so lovely. I'm so excited by this. So let's just, we're gonna go back. So I'm going to grab a user and a book. This is working out better than I thought it would. And then get, so build. That's fine. Right now I'm just testing that this is giving me this. But let's create a new record. Okay, so we're going to call this build 2. Maybe I should have had that be user, but it's okay. I actually like the term builder because that makes it more explicit who that is. So user book, and then okay, so and then we're gonna get build equals build dot objects dot first. So we build and build 2. So build and then build 2. There we go. So we can see that this is the log. So when we create the admin, it'll be really explicit what we're doing. Speaking of which, let's create our admin. From the models import build, and then admin dot site. I'm like totally blanking on this. Admin.site.register. Okay. All right, and now we can get out of this, and let's go over here to right or not, and this is my count. That's right. I need to address that because right now, if you go here, once I go into a book, like this profile doesn't work. So that's a bug I need to account for. But before I do look into that, I'm going to I'm just going to let's see, profile. Okay, so my profile works. That's good. And then if request that user is super user, okay. Oh, and I need to, because I can't remember what the URL is. Let's look in the Django crash starter, which, if you're new to here, is a fork of my cookie cutter Django project. It's a simplification, and it also works with Django 3, which I don't believe cookie cutter Django does yet. So where is... Don't I have an admin link? I don't want to, I really don't want to stick in this, but for now, for the sake of just, okay, so if I go to builds, look at that. So now, when I look this up, I can look it up by, you know, there's some, I can add in filters and other thing, which is going to be really important once we get a lot of logs working, that we can use this to analyze it. What we will have to do is like take out the builder field and yeah, the builder field and the book fields. These will have to be static, but for now, at least in testing, it'll be okay. In production, if this gets any kind of traffic, you know, this, you know, will have 1,000 or, you know, let's say 1 million, and then this might have 10 million. So this isn't going to work in with what we're doing. But awesome. And then what we can also do while we're here, let's just do it, is let's get in, let's show off our duration. So we did this over here where we do okay, so we can do, we go to here and then we do class build admin. Actually, I'm just going to copy this whole thing. You'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to add the duration to the screen that we're seeing. Actually, what we could do is we could do builder, because it's not like these can change, right? Like, these shouldn't be changeable for my daughter likes to make growling sounds, like for bears and dinosaurs. Okay, so return self.duration, and now it didn't quite do what I thought it would do. So these are read only, which is great. This maybe I should also make all the fields. So builder book duration log will also be, so the log, okay, so status, so shouldn't, I think all of this should be read only. Like, this isn't something where the help desk will be able to modify, but have the foreign key. Hey, Muskan Bartula. You said if you look, the model that have the foreign key will generate the duplication and similar queries in the forum. Can you tell how to solve it? Is this for, sorry about, is this for, it's okay. So is this for the build model that I'm looking at now? Because having duplicate fields is fine. Oh, so I mean it's fine because this is for a particular build, and then in the log we can track. This is where we see individual items. Did I answer your question, or did I sound really obscure? I think I probably sounded really obscure. Method. So duration, that's a property that maybe I can't do, maybe I need to not do property. Oh, I see. So, oh, this is so funny. Okay. So the mistake I made there was that this is a property. This duration is a property. Yeah, Muskin, let me know if I'm misunderstanding your question, but like a book can have one to many it can have one to many builds. Like if you want to build a book 1,000,000 times and pay me for that, then you can do that. And here, I'll show you my tentative pricing scheme for Write or Not. So my thought is we'd start Write or Not, base subscription. This is just so you can access the site, is going to be, I hope you can, I'll blow this up so you can see it a little bit better, because it's kind of important. Subscription is going to be, let's say, $10 a month. This is probably what we're going to do, is $10 a month for base subscription. And then every book, and for that you get 5 free books, and then every book after. Actually, you know, maybe we should do $5 a month. So every book after is going to be $1, right, after the free. So if you have 6 books, it's you know, if you have 6 books, now you're paying another $1. And then for builds is going to be 10 cents minus 1 per build. This is my current tentative thing. So it's 10 cents minus 1 per build, with minimum of 1 cent. Let me do word wrap. Actually, maybe there we go. So this is kind of my thing. So let's say you have 7 books, okay, and you do 15 builds on those books, okay. That will so you pay $5 a month, you get 5 free books, and then you're paying an extra $2, so that's $7 a book, or $7 base, okay. And then let's say you do 15 builds, it's going to be the first build is going to be 10 cents. Second build is 9 cents, and so on until you get down to 1 cent. So I think, what is it? Let's pull up the Python shell so I can do the math. So so it's 10 plus 9. Actually, I should know this. I think it's 55. So it's I equals 0, or sorry, total equals 0. So for I in the range 15, total. Well, the point is that so it's I'm getting complicated on myself. 10 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6. Oh, can I do, like, isn't there a sum? Okay, so I can do sum. I'm doing this the hard way. The easy way is this: 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. So yeah, it's 55. So my math was right. So that's for this is the first 10, and then we have, since there's 15 builds that we're working on, that's 60 cents for their builds, and so what that means is they'd be $7 for books plus 60 cents for builds. And that's my tentative, and then total is 7 $7.60, and I think that might work out. We'll have to do a little bit of cost analysis because I don't want to be killed on the costs of these long-running processes, because building books, like if you're building PDF books, it takes minutes. There's no way around it. Having super powerful computers will speed that up, but not significantly. So that's something where Fabio, if you're listening, let's see if you're in the chat. He's in the chat. I don't know if he's listening. It's something where for, you know, this is how it works. So the more you use the system, the more you save. So that's the plan. All right. So where were we? Okay, so you are listening. So yeah, at some point we're gonna have to do a discussion and figure out and make sure that, you know, if we're doing this in like, this might be something that's good for serverless, that, you know, but again, we have to do cost analysis and make sure that we're not gonna make ourselves broke by selling lots of builds. And what'd be awesome is if people like figure out that, oh wow, I could do builds really easy using this system to generate books. I don't know what people do with it, but if you provide an API, sometimes they come. Look at read the docs, right? Okay, so I think our build model is ready. Let's actually, now that we have the build, reduce this in size a little bit. Now that we have the build in place, let upper T, make sure I didn't just break things. Okay. Awesome. So that is the duration in minutes. And we might have to take off some of these buttons and make these only, because see how it says change build? Build should be in violet, like admin shouldn't be able to do this, although you might have to have a mechanism for closing this. So I think I'm gonna change status, because let's say a build just isn't finishing. It's gonna be important for our admins to go in and be able to say, this is closed. So speaking of which, let's hey Mohandas, sure, I'll explain what I'm building here. I'm building, so I'm an author, as you may know. I am building a, hold on, this is just our landing page. I'm building Write or Not, and what Write or Not is it is a markdown powered tool for building books. Not just writing books, but building them. Hey Lagesh, how's it going? So for example, you know, I've written fiction books and non-fiction books, and all of them use a different build process. And I always get questions as an author, hey, what did you use to build 2 scoops of Django? When I try to do it using Sphinx, it doesn't look anything like it. And so it'd be nice to be able to provide that as a service. Like if you're gonna write a book, I mean, humility aside, 2 Scoops of Django is a lovely book in PDF format. It's gorgeous. And the reason why is because we handcrafted that LaTeX. Now, I can't promise that it's going to look, the final result of this is going to look as good as handcrafted 2 Scoops of Django LaTeX, but I can promise you that we're going to try. And, you know, I'm pretty good at LaTeX. Audrey's better. And, we also know some people who know quite a bit of LaTeX, and so there's some hackery that we can do for that to work. So that's what I'm building here. And yes, you have missed you have missed a number of streams. Okay, so what now that we have our build model in place, let's right now it's called render the book. We'll probably change the name of that so it's more like build the book. Maybe that's a better term in the template. Chapter form. Let's go to oh yes, actually, tell you what, if I don't know if Aaron or and Hiki are here, we've decided we actually have LaTeX to fix it. We just haven't implemented it yet. I will do that. We'll be fixing the LaTeX in the book, let's say on Monday. Today I want to work on this. So if you come to Monday mornings or Monday's stream, because it's not morning for all of you, then you'll see that that's when we'll update that, and then we'll send out an update for the book that day. All right, so I want to build the book. What we'll do now is in build we'll create a from Django.use.generic import build, and then class create build view. Oops, might help if I view. Oh, and then from Django.contrib.auth.mixins import login require mixin. Okay, and then and this actually is going to be an async view. We have a in books up at the top we have async view mixin. I think because I need to use this mixin here, I think I need to create a common place to store stuff. So we're going to create a core app. So mange.py start app, and we're going to call this core, and then we move core into right or not. Okay, and then inside of core there's, I don't plan to have any, we'll just leave things as is for now with the fields. I don't think we need, should we call it core? I never can make up my mind as if I want to call this core common. I think I'm going to stick with core because it's less letters to type. I know I have code completion, but I'm just like that. So I think I want to, we'll never have a migration. I don't think we'll ever have an admin. Did I just blow that away? No, it's right there. Having the models, I think, might still be necessary. We don't need, we're not gonna have, this is just a place to store things that we're using. We might need tests. Views, we might put some of our base template views for landing pages and stuff here. Maybe. Models, I don't think we're gonna need this, but I'm not gonna, I'll leave that one. And then what I do want to do is put in mixins, and then what I can do is under wherever my books are, I have and then I can do from right or not .core.mixins import. Oh, I should add. There we go. And then coming back here, import async view mixin. So now in our builds, from, and I guess I could do core.mixins import. Okay, so now we can have async, because this is absolutely going to be an asynchronous view. And then we're going to have def post. And then what this will do is this is for post requests, args, and then return render. And I'll get to the render. What this will do is it will accept a form request. If you hear that burbling, that's my daughter. We're in a small place, so she's around, and she's not quite 18 months. After her form request asking for a build. Okay, and then actually what we can do is we can call this build view, and then def get. What this will do is request args, and then for this it'll be return render, and then this will be if with ID then shows detail. Yeah, if without ID then shows list of builds for user. Oh, thank you, Muskin. I appreciate that. I don't think I can attach an image. Actually, hold on. Let me see if I can. Taking a quick picture break. Seeing if I have a photo that works. Oh wow, it's not backing up my photos that I'm taking. That's let's see if I can get one that's not going to embarrass her in the future when she's a teenager. And here we go. All right, so let me. So that's her right now. Yep. So if you're a parent, you know that she has an uncommon amount of hair, and I'd like to think that I'm donating my hair to her. It'd be nice if I could have kept my hair, but if it's gonna go anywhere, if it's gonna go to my daughter, so she has long, luxurious hair for an 18-month-old, because it goes down to the middle of her back. She has really long hair. Then I am happy to make the sacrifice of not being able to grow hair like a 20-something. So okay, so we have this build view. I think we're ready. Let's actually, rather than build the display of it, let's do if they're posting this data. So if we go back to our book form, okay, so one of the things is I could call this with JavaScript, absolutely, but so part of this whole project that I decided early on was, if you're familiar with hey.com, hey.com, or if you're not, I'll explain what it is. Hey.com is a Rails project, and more explicitly, it's a Rails project by Basecamp, and it is, this is hey.com, and it is a super fast, responsive, modern email system that just launched. the technical lead on it, it's a Rails project, is the founder of the Rails project, which is David Hannemeyer Hansen. And it doesn't use REST APIs. It's not a single page app. It is HTML. And so previously in this, especially for here, with these chapters, these are actually making REST calls. You know, and it's very responsive and it's really fast. But it's still doing REST. I'm still like putting this into JSON and submitting it. What I want to do here though is I would like to instead do form posts and like, you know, be awesome if I could figure out how to block the action and instead what I mean is, and instead of doing it as JSON, is doing it as form attributes. So let me see if I can do that. It will require a little bit of JavaScript, but we won't be turning it into oh, I need to point at the URL. So hold on. Before I do this, if I go to, I need to create a URL. So builds. Okay, and then let's see. I need to. Okay, that's right. And I need that's. Hey, AFSP18, how are you doing? Glad you're here today. So we're going to change this to builds, and then path. We're gonna, for now, we're just going to have an empty view is going to be views.build view as view, and then we're going to just call this build, and then let's see, in our root URLs conf file, here we go, we're gonna oh, I'm good. Had a little bit of a rough start because my internet wasn't working until like 2 minutes in. So I couldn't, yeah, it was a bit crazy and hectic and unnerving, but I'm good now. We're adding the build system to write or not. That's what we're doing at the moment. Okay, so and just so everyone notices, in about 20 or 30 minutes, I'm going to do a short break. I'll leave the stream on, but just have to, you know, I am human, so I'll need to I'll need to take that break. So I'll do that in about 20 or 30 minutes. So now I can do form action, and I'll do URL, and it's going to be builds, build, and that should be it. Method equals post. Okay, so let's see how, oops, goes line 9. So I broke something. That's there. What did I break? Positional argument follows keyword. Oh. Might as well do. Oops. Okay, so now if I look at the HTML, there. So that's what we have. This is good. And right now it's going to go there, and that's going to blow up because we don't have the CSRF in there. Let's add that. So one of the reasons I just realized that is kind of a bonus to this is that I don't have to like monkey around with CSRF like I did last time, which is interesting. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to have input type hidden, and then name equals, we'll just do it'll do book ID, so it's really obvious what this is, and then value is book dot, oops, value of this is book dot ID. Okay, so and if I refresh and if I look at this form, and we can see there it is. So that's the book ID. So we have everything we need to build this. And if I submit, okay, so this is fine that I got this. What I want to do is I'm going to capture this and send this out as JavaScript. Just make sure I have all my JavaScript in there, and then, all right, so let's add an ID to this form. So ID equals build form. Okay, so document dot, document get element by ID. This is let form equals, and the and at some point what I'm gonna do, so one of the things I plan to do on Monday, there's two things. One is add the new table, or do the reformat on the tables of 2 scoops of Django, and the other one is learn Webpack. I have not knowing Webpack has really kind of sucked because it is something I should do, and I realize if I'm going to learn it, I might as well stream it. So if you want to watch me learn how to use Webpack, then come, and you might learn something too. Like we can all do it together. I think if you're doing anything touching the front end at this point, if we don't know Webpack, we don't have to be dedicated JavaScript developers. We're really operating at a disadvantage, even if we're doing vanilla JavaScript as much as possible, like I'm trying to do on this project. I'm using vanilla JavaScript, but typically I use Vue.js. And again, when I'm using Vue.js, because I don't know Webpack, that puts me at a disadvantage. I know you can do it without knowing Webpack. I've gone a long ways, but there are just times where I'm stuck, and I'm like trying to play with things in a Webpack config file, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So, and it sucks, and I don't like that. So, if you if you don't know how to do it, come and you can follow along with me. And if you do know how to do it, you can answer questions when we get stuck. So let's do it. All right. So we have our build form. Let's see. We're going to go to we need to add a listener, I believe, to capture when a submit happens. Yeah. So and I think all right, let's see what happens. Okay, it's there's a way to stop the form from not submitting. How to block form from submitting in JavaScript. And this is probably jQuery. Oh, so we can do on submit like this. So we'll just do, oh, so we can actually just stick it right in there. So we don't even need to, oh, so here it is, event listener, function event. This is how I prefer to do it, is this right here. So add event listener, and then it would be event dot prevent default. Okay. Okay, so oh, that didn't help at all. Well, here's the question. For now, do we really care? Like, we can just literally have here in builds, it can literally return them back to the book. I think that's the right answer. And then, because I don't want to get bogged down in some JavaScript. I mean, nothing against JavaScript, but I want to get to building the async view. So let's do that. Let's just so we're gonna switch to redirect. So this is the post request that's going to be coming from this by clicking this button. So it'll be redirect, and then specifically it is going to be what is the URL of that? So the URL is update. Okay, and then it's going to be self, and then quargs, and it's going to look at self.quargs book ID. So I haven't put in any logic yet. We'll get to that in a second. But what I will do is I'll click this, and it did not like that. Why did it not? I thought it should be in the quargs. See what the local environment is. So it's not showing anything. Well, that's not accurate. That's not accurate at all. What the heck? Maybe it's because I put in that it's making sure that we didn't accidentally break. Okay, so it still doesn't like it, and I'm guessing. So look, post. Oh, I know why. I'm overcomplicating things. Self.request.post, and this is there we go, because it's a request object. So, and now we just need to do books, :update. Yeah, see, it's PK, books, PK1. What just happened? That's right. This is redirect. So this shit is how it is, I think. Okay. Ta-da! So now it doesn't look like much. It'll work for now. All right. So we have the redirect. It is now time to do the build. But so the thing is I want them to redirect here. At some point, we won't even do the redirect. We'll do a JavaScript form submission. So here, redirect is what we want. The redirect, this is what the, oh, I see what you're saying, because I'm thinking you said render when you said reverse, Muskan, Bartola. So yeah, for this, this is what the redirect function can give you. It's kind of nice. It's a shortcut. All right. So now what we want to do is, well, I'll document what we want. So step one, get the book. Okay. Step two, compile the book. By compile the book's content, that's basically grabbing all the content from the chapters and putting it into one large markdown item. In step three, render as something using pandoc. Okay, we're going to just use pandoc for the moment. And in the long run, that's what we'll be using for some of these things anyway. Okay, so now let's now there's two ways to do this. We could do each one of these things within this post function. Yeah, it's really nice when you. I always forget. I start sticking quargs and stuff like that, but this is just so nice and elegant. So I could write all of this in here, but I won't. The only thing I'll do in these steps in here is I will actually I will get the book in here, so that way, actually no, I just, for now we'll put all of this in a function. We could put this into here, so that way if there's an error, there's a 404, but let's not even bother. We can deal with that later. So I'm going to put this in a separate function. I'll put this down here, and it's going to be build book. Okay, and it's going to take a book ID and a user ID. The reason why I'm doing these two values instead of a book object and a user object is these values are serializable. That means that if we decide to change the build process from async views to using something like Celery, which I'm going to try to avoid on this project, at least for now, just because I'm going to do this as async view processes and see how it goes if you have a several minute long async view, like what happens. That's part of the fun of this project. It's arguably not wise to do things this way, but a task queue like Celery is what's really designed to handle this. But again, part of this project is having a chance to play and do things that we normally wouldn't, and possibly figure out new patterns. But the point is that I want these to be serializable, convertible into JSON, and a book and user objects aren't necessarily serializable. So we're gonna need some models. So from books dot import book, and then from Django.contrib.auth import get user model. Is that right? Did I define that right? I don't think I did the import correctly there. Yeah, no, that's right. Okay. So first let's get the book. So okay. Oh, and another model that we're going to need is, so let's grab user equals get user model, and then we also need to get the builds, import build. Okay, so first thing, let's get the book. So to get the book, we're going to do book equals books dot objects dot get, and then it's book ID comma it's going to be pk equals book ID, and then ID, and then creator ID equals user ID. Okay. Now you might say, hey Danny, there is no creator ID in the book model. If you were here in a previous session, if I go to the books model, you can see that like I've got creator, I don't have creator ID. But this is why, if you define, this is why when I see tutorials on YouTube, they show people how to define, like, oh, this is how they're teaching raw beginners. This is how you define new primary keys in Django. There's no reason to do this, right? Like, it provides you this. This is like one of the superpowers of it. The thing is this is creating, this is a foreign key relationship. This is the object. This is the request.user object. But there's an implicit creation of creator ID, okay, which is the primary key that refers to the user ID. And if I play around with primary keys in Django, I can screw that up. And this is why typically when you have people who replace that primary key in Django, they will, if they create a new primary key, they'll do it as ID so they don't break everything. Now, it's not as fragile as it used to be, but this is, I get it. Like, if you're learning something and you want to share your knowledge and you're a beginner, and that's great. Sometimes beginners make absolutely the best tutorial writers, but when they start digging into internals that they don't understand, or sometimes they don't do foreign key relations, and that's a whole interesting story, that becomes a problem, because then you get projects that hit production which don't have, no longer have this because they followed a tutorial early on that didn't follow, not even best practices, just like, industry practices, which are, when you're using a framework, don't dig into the internals until you start understanding them. Okay, sorry about the rant. Okay, so I have my book, that's done. And yeah, this will probably be moved out, but for now we're just gonna leave it in. All right, so it's compiled the content. So what we'll do here is, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the title of the books be, so let's do it as markdown. It's just simple. So we're gonna do document, I'll just make it really simple like this, and then we'll do for chapter in book dot chapter set that all, and then document equals document plus actually, hold on, we have the chapters have titles and they have bodies, so let me think this through. So first we're gonna have document, actually I know how this is easy. This may need a drink or something. Okay, so we'll do document.append. First we're going to grab the chapter.title, and then we're going to add in the body, just like that. Now, one thing is that people might use, and I'm not going to worry about rendering it out as markdown or rendering the markdown out yet. We'll get to that in a little bit. We're compiling everything first. The other thing is that people can stick in H1s, and that may cause a problem with chapter breaks. Again, I'm not going to worry about that yet. What we'll probably do is we'll do a bump up of H types within the markdown, so that way we don't break how chapters work. Actually, let's change this. There we go. So now chapters, chapter headers start with that pound sign because we're doing markdown. Okay, so now that we've created our document, let's render it. Document list. Make this a little bit more obvious. Document equals, and we're gonna do this, and let's make it join, and then we're gonna stick in the document list. So, and finally, we're gonna render it out using pandoc. Before I get that, let's write a test for this function. We'll even return the document even though it's not doing anything. What's nice about, and then what's going to happen is in here, we're going to do build book, and we're going to pass in the book ID. I think that would be self. Oh, it's right here. Aha. Let's see, book ID equals this, and then we'll also do user ID equals request.user.id. And we can actually, because we already have the request object, I don't know why I'm doing self here, so a little bit less typing. And over here, let's do book ID is a int, and then for testing, is it like this? I always forget, like when you return the type, Python type annotations. Yep, I got it right. So there. And now you can see me using type annotations. I haven't done it yet. I don't like doing it in views. I try to, and it's really annoying. But in a function like this, it's really kind of nice. So we're gonna write a test for this. We need to write tests for this project anyway. Let's go to our shell. Oops. Let's go to this shell and stop it. Okay. So we're gonna ref whether or not builds tests, and then make sure whether or not builds tests. Okay, and then builds tests. Yeah, I'm glad it could help. All right, so we have here, I've defined this in it. Some of you might be saying, "Oh, Danny, why are you sticking in it in this folder? This is Python 3," and it's like, yeah, but I want to be able to do explicit, implicit, relative. I want to be able to do this from within my test folder, and I can't remember off the top of my head what that is. I know people memorize that stuff. I don't know. I can't memorize it, but what I can tell you is that it won't work unless I have this. Okay, so let us touch whether or not builds tests and test use.py, and then what we can do is we can do from, and if we in our books, in the test folder of our books, we have a whole bunch of stuff here. So we're going to grab some of it. Like there's actually a book object that we can use. So let's go grab that from let's see, from books dot tests dot factories import book. Okay, and then I'm going to define. We're using pytest here, so let's go up here and we'll grab the necessary pytest stuff that we need. And then we also need this. So what this test mark is doing, this ties these tests to the database. If I don't do that, it's not going to work. And then let's get rid of books dot factories import book. Okay, so now what I can do is test. Where is it? So I have this build book view. So test build book, and then I'm going to pass in this book argument right here. And what this book argument does, if I go to let's close. Okay. Let me just find. I have a bunch of files open I don't need. Taking too long. Test use under. Actually, I want. Yeah. So when I pass this in, this is a function that is that actually calls the chapter factory that the book factory and the chapter factory. Gives me a sample book to work off of, and so this way I don't have to like repeat calling these factories a bunch of times. Okay, so test view. So this, as soon as I have this, I have the book, and then also the other thing I want to do is from use import build book. Okay, and then document equals build book, and then what I need for this is I need a book ID, so that's book.id, and then I need a user ID, and that will be book.creator ID. So remember how that creator ID is an implicit item that's added. This is literally identical, by the way, to me doing this. Okay, but this is the field itself. This is a field going through some Python. If you're worried about performance, like, oh my god, this is going to be a little bit slower than doing this, don't. Like, we're talking microseconds here. Like, there's basically no time. So either one works. I'm just going to do creator ID. Okay, and then we're going to do assert document equals nothing. This should blow up on us. If it doesn't blow up on us, it means that. Did I put that? Let's see. If it doesn't blow up on us, that means that we have a problem. Coverage, run n pytest, I think is it. New module file name Django. What? That's so weird. That was not the error. That was not the error as oh, Django. Okay. Do that. That's all right. Awesome! Yay! So we have an error. So this right here is the output of the build process. This is the fake data that is being created by the chapter, the book factory. So what I want to do is, and if you notice, there's nothing in the chapter title, which is really unfortunate because it'd be nice to have something there. But I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. What I think maybe I should worry about it. I think what I want to do is assert. We're going to assert that in document. We're going to assert that there's a pound sign in the document, and then we'll do also assert book dot chapter set first dot body in document. So what we're doing is we're asserting that there's a pound sign, or that there's at least one pound sign, and that the first chapter of the book, its body, which is going to be one of these random strings, is going to be in there. So let's give that a try, and that way we know that the build is working. Okay, and it works. I'm not surprised. Let me commit this. Added build app with models, basic view, and early test. Okay, so it is noon right now. I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to log off, but I will be back in about 5 minutes. Just on break, back in 5. So if you need to use the restroom or grab something to eat, now's the time to do it. And next time I'll have like a pretty screen to do this, maybe even with a countdown timer. See if I can blow this up a little bit more. That's not what I wanted to say. So where's a better? There needs to be a better way. The point is that I'm gonna take a break, and so if anybody comes on and asks where I am, you can tell them that I'm taking a quick break. All right. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Oh, I wonder if I could play like a commercial. Like I can literally play a 60-second ad break, but I'm not gonna do that to you guys or to you people. All right, I'll be back. Let me just turn off the volume so you don't hear any of the stuff going on in my house. Hello, can you hear me? I am back. How's everyone doing? Okay, so let's get back into things. So I do have some good news, at least for me. Fun little secret is our house does not have working air conditioning, and we're in Southern California, which means it can get up to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit later in the summer, and especially once we hit June and July, or not June and July, July and August, and also that's like what, 40 Fahrenheit or 40 Celsius. So someone's coming in less than an hour to take a look at it. So I might have to stop for a couple minutes then to show them a few things. Okay, so where were we? I have URLs. We just wrote this. So this is our build test. Okay, good. You can hear me. Hey, FI Stories. How's it going? Okay, so this is our build book function, and right now it's not doing anything that requires async, right? I mean, this even on a large book will take milliseconds, and but rendering the book, on the other hand, is another thing altogether. Oh, awesome! Hey, Lahore Maker. So you got the update. Yeah, that was a lot of work that we put into it. And just to let you know, on Friday, we discovered how we wrote tests in Django. Crash Course needs to be updated a little bit. So there will be an update on how we wrote the tests. All right, so let's call Pandoc. Yeah, so hopefully next week we'll get that update out and we'll have the corrected test. I'm so glad that happened before we went to print, because we're getting proof copies and looking at them, and yeah, we're literally teaching people how to generate some false positives. So it's a little bit embarrassing, but that's the fun of being a coder, and there's certain elements of Django and testing that could be easier. So that's my excuse anyway. All right, so we're gonna render this as something. Let's take a look at Pandoc. If you don't know what Pandoc is, it's this awesome tool. It's written in Haskell, but everyone uses it around the world. So using it, we can take in formats like Markdown and convert it to other formats. So we could convert it to EPUB, to HTML, to ebooks. For the sake of simplicity, we're going to use convert it to HTML. And then another thing that we're going to do is we're going to call this asynchronously. I'm going to show you why I'm doing it not here, but here. Because right now when we call the book, it'll be called here, but what we'll do, and you can see this, let's close this module. Over here and under books, there's this sync to async view that we call in our chapter API view that converts the update chapter function that we wrote to an asynchronous function. So we don't even need to learn async or wait or use it to do things asynchronously in Django. So I'm going to import that. And just to let you know, ASCII-Ref is a library authored by Andrew Godwin, who's responsible for channels in asynchronous Django. This isn't like some third-party fun bit of hackery that might not be supported. This is core Django, and actually this is in itself isn't Django. This is the ASCII reference library. So this is so when we call this, we'll actually call it like this. Okay, and I think what we could do even is, I think this works too. So I think you can call this as a decorator or use it as a decorator. pretty much 100% certain. So now, and this shouldn't change our tests at all, but let's check and make sure that we're not about to embarrass ourselves. Oh, wrong command. So let's run our tests again, and it should still work. Oops. Why did that fail? Oh, because it's a type routine. Ah, okay. So I think it kind of messes with our tests. So let's not do things that way, because now we're gonna have to start. Yeah, I think it makes things a little bit more complicated, or maybe it's not designed to work that way. But I find this is fine. Not everything has to be done with decorators. But if I run this, so now if I run the test again. So the nice thing about this is if I did like import time and then time.sleep, like no time would happen. That's like if I run it, here I actually do this in a slightly different way. We'll do this in, so in our, where's our book update view? And here where we're using it, the update chapter function right here, if I do import time and I sleep by 10 seconds, now whenever I update a chapter, and if we switch to this terminal right here, like we shouldn't see any delay on stuff. Is this working? Let me see. Oh, I think I did break it. Huh. So I thought it was running asynchronously. Well, yeah, we can dig into this later, but the point is that it shouldn't be operating that way. Maybe that's because I'm running. Oh, I know why. Let's stick this in. We're gonna refresh. Okay, so if we go down here, we can see that's like this. We have, when we update chapter, it calls us. Let's see if it. Ah, interesting. So now it's gonna wait like 10 seconds. So it is not running as asynchronously as I thought. See, there's the put. Every time I make a change here, I should be getting a put. Interesting. I wonder if time.sleep is not a good way to test if something's asynchronous. See how every time I do that, you see that put? Also, it might be because I'm running things with the reload feature, which is this. So it might just be how I've configured it. If I run it without that, wow, this is interesting to know. Oh, hold on. Okay, so now if I refresh the page, you can see I've refreshed the page, you see a bunch of stuff fly by. Now let's see what happens if I make a change. Interesting. It should be, and we're going to see it put in just a few seconds. Wow. Let's diminish that. And there's the put. So this is not working as I expected. I want to see what's going on. So, hey, Mr. Foodit, you're asking, how do you price filter for e-commerce website in Django? I guess my question is what's a price filter? So Lahore Maker, I was hoping that we could use asynchronous Django calls to because this is, see how this is a synchronous function that we're calling asynchronously. So I wanted to see if we could do it without celery. It looks like it is not behaving as quite as I thought it is. It might be because of the Django, the ASCII ref may not play nicely with the time module in Python. I don't know, like the time sleep module. What we'll probably do rather than celery for processing, and I'll have to work it out with Fabio, is whether or not we want to use celery for this kind of processing, or in the long run if we're going to be using it with serverless. I personally lean towards serverless just because it's really fire and forget and works really well within our pricing model and keeps the code a bit simpler, in my opinion. Because I always feel like whenever I use celery, with me at least, things get out of hand. And that might be me. That might just be me over-architecting, my asynchronous Django projects. I don't know, just for the past few years, I've had so much fun and success using serverless over celery. It's just kind of a no-brainer. The deployment configuration is easier. On the other hand, you're tied to a vendor. So I know that Google Cloud Run is an option, and that, yeah. So we're still trying to figure that part out. And Fabio and I, who's loves FCB, will who's here in this channel, we'll probably have a discussion soon about how we're doing it. So, Mr. Fudlick, again, if you can give some clarity on what you mean by price filter, then maybe I can give you my advice if I have any for it. All right, so let's, while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to go back to Pandoc, and so we're going to take our markdown and we're going to convert it. We're going to convert it to HTML. We're going to keep things really simple. So this is how typically a pandoc command is done. There's some fancier things that we can do, but here's what we're going to start with. We're going to pass in an output. So we're going to tell pandoc, hey, our output needs to be HTML and the input is going to be in a markdown format. So our command will look something like pandoc-o book.html, and later on we'll get into other formats and maybe even Lua templating that you can do with it. And then we'll do input.md. Notice how this is different than text. So let's give it a try. So subprocess. So we're going to use subprocess for this. Subprocess is a Python library for making system calls. Subprocess import, and it's check call. So we'll start with check call. Actually, wouldn't it be better to do check output? I've used both. Returns its output as a byte string. This is what we need. The reason why I want to do this instead of check call is because check call just returns, it doesn't give quite as much text as what we could use with it doesn't give us quite as much detail back as check output does. So now to call it, we're gonna do here's the fun. So when you do check output, you can't just type in, I can't just paste in this. That it doesn't like that. Instead, it wants pandoc. It wants it in a list, or an iterable. So I could do this as in whatever format, as a tuple or probably even a set. Okay, so this is the commands that I'll be passing in, and then I think if I remember correctly, I thought there was a. I think I'm using it wrong. It's been a while since I've used it. Oh, Skyforest. That's an excellent question. So, how many projects am I working on? Well, I'm working on 2 books, 2 Scoops to Django and Django Crash Course, which is hard. Working on 2 books, technical books at once is hard. And I'm working on Right or Not, and I am running a company, or part of the team that runs a company. So, and that includes several other books that other people are writing that we're going to be publishing. Like we have a Django Crash Course, 2 Django Crash Course extensions in the works. One's much further along than the other, and then I can't announce it yet, but there's an awesome development of someone we're going to be publishing. But until the contract's signed, can't talk about it. So for me, my productivity booster right now, because with the stress of the pandemic and having at least one person in the house with bad asthma, means that we're locked in for the duration. So that's a bit hard, not really being able to go out for till maybe many more months, and then worried about social unrest and stuff like that. So my productivity dropped, and my secret to improving it was to start streaming. I kind of did it on a whim. I was like, hey, I'll try this, and then I found that I was able to focus on the code that I was writing. And to me, that is it's been pretty awesome that I've been able to do this. Here we go. Oh, good. So streaming has been really useful. Using issue trackers is super important. If you're not using issue trackers, or you're working with people who refuse to, one, start using issue trackers, and 2 is if someone refuses to use one, then try to stop working with them. It's really the less you have to remember in your head, the better. And if you're spending all your time trying to remember what things need to be done, then you have, there's only so much bandwidth you have in your brain, and the more you can get things out onto paper, the better. I like simple issue trackers. Les FCB, that's Fabio. He's my coworker here at Feldroy. I tend to like simpler issue trackers. We use a mix of GitHub and GitLab's issue trackers for some, well, mostly GitHub for public-facing stuff, and then Clubhouse internally. I have mixed feelings about Clubhouse. There are aspects of it that are wonderful, but to me, it's a little bit too complex. That's so I hope, those are my productivity secrets, and I really wish that I could focus on certain things better, but this is what's working for me right now. One thing I do want to make clear also is that, we got a failed test. Don't I have Pandoc installed likely? Oh, I don't have Pandoc. Do I? Hold on. Panda. Let's Panda. I can type. Yeah, so I do have Pandoc. Why did it give me the error? Command Pandoc return not on exit status 0. Oh, you know why? Because these things don't exist. I have to create them. So hold on. All right, so with open put dot markdown right as f and then f dot write document. Okay, let's try it again. Didn't mean to do that. Yeah, so Lahore Maker, this is actually the third iteration of Write or Not. We've written it in, did it in Firebase, we did it in AppSync on AWS, and the current version that's out there is in Vue.js. It's, these are JavaScript projects, and it's a project that I've really wanted to launch for a while. I just didn't really have the I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't launch it yet. And then I decided, hey, I want to do another project in Django and have one where I can experiment a bit. Why not do it this way and actually move from a single page app, which is the current design, to a project that is not a single page app, that is, the template design, and just see how it goes. And there's definitely been some ups in it. So here's our sample project, and I think, and then look at that. So it does render. So this is if I open, it's going to be ugly, but so that's our book right now. So yeah, we'll probably have to have some way to clean up the results of this. Okay, so let's do, you know what we could do? I just thought of something. So if I look at, so this build book is now a, that's tied in here. In theory, if I go here to Write or Not, and I go to the book metadata and I click build the book, it should build the book. We should see like this there, and it won't be rendered out. Oh wait, it might render it as HTML. So let's see what happens. So we're gonna build the book, okay, and then let's open it. Look at that. So it built the book. Yay! It's not the prettiest book yet, but it will be. It will be absolutely beautiful and lovely in the days to come. So this is a pretty good development. I want to see if what happens. This next section is probably going to break. If we do this as a book.pdf, mind you, there's no like templating or anything with this. So oh yeah, it didn't like that at all. Let's see if we, yeah, it didn't like book.pdf. So that's okay. This is like Fabian and I will be playing with this and determining, like, are we going to be plugging in missed things? Are we going to be excuse me. All right. So there's the neat thing is right now this sync to async is in theory it's running asynchronously. So, and that's important because let's say, for example, here's a security thing for you. Let's say, for example, we decide, hey, let's use AWS Lambda or Azure Functions, whatever serverless system we use. We start Python code that builds the books, right? Where we write Zappa tasks. And Zappa, just so you know, when it does asynchronous Zappa tasks are just other Lambda calls and uses DynamoDB to track. It's kind of this neat little system. And for whatever reason, the call to that Lambda hangs. Now, if I do this synchronously, that means this web page will hang for the user. If Write or Not takes off and we have 1 million users and they're all building books, then, and this hangs, that will, if the main Write or Not project is running in the Docker container, that will bring down the server. And the reason why is because that hanging API called a third-party service is hanging on the system. And just to let you know, this can be done as an attack. If you let people connect your server to their API calls, and then, let's say you let them do OAuth, and when you make calls for your customers to hit it, and if you don't make that call asynchronously, you can bring down your site. That's why using requests, and I haven't talked about this because async views were not easily solvable in Django, but now we're coming to it. So what that means is that going forward, as asynchronous Django becomes easier to use and more commonly deployed, try to wrap any API call to a third-party service in this function call. You really, really need to do this. I can't stress this enough. And it's something that we're going to start talking about in 2 scoops of Django, as now that there's a much easier way to handle it. Because I see in people's standard view pages request.get. The Skyforest wants to know, can I sum up what Django async is exactly? All right, so you probably know what Celery is, and Celery uses a message queue to track long-running processes or short or long-running processes that run outside of the main thread. The main thread is what you're seeing. Channels provides 2 things. One, it provides WebSockets, and secondly, it provides a simpler method of doing kind of Celery-style task queue actions within a Django context. So it provides both of them, and it's the fact that it does that is because WebSockets needs that, because WebSockets are leaving open a long-running string. What asynchronous Django does is it allows you, within the context of a Django request response cycle, to make asynchronous calls. And rather than use channels, which typically require, which is simpler than Celery but easier to set up and manage, asynchronous views, it uses, I think it uses uses coroutines within Python. So it's actually setting up, it's using, I think it's, is it using multi-thread? I don't know. I'd have to bounce that off of Andrew. But it's probably not ideal for, hey, I want this process to run for 10 minutes. That's not what you want to have running in a separate thread, because that makes it hard to manage at scale, because it's hard to control, hey, where is this thread happening? It is possible to track it, but then you're digging into abstractions and managing threads across multiple servers. Celery and channels will handle this better for you. And serverless like AWS Lambda makes it even easier. But then the offset then is that you're using a vendor to do basic system calls. I haven't had a problem with that, but some people do. So that's kind of the list of things. So making a call to another service is fine. And for now, in these simple tests, using this is fine. But in the long run, as much as I want to use this, I'm going to be realistic. I can't use asynchronous Django calls when we're building a PDF that might take 3 minutes to build on a fast server. PDFs and EPUBs and other things just take time to build. Okay, so that's not, we're going to get rid of the HTML. That's something that I guess Fabio and I'll probably figure out later. And so, but we do have this book, and if I, let's see, it's clean up. And in fact, if I, let's see if I can, what happens if you call code within, let's see if I can call in some 2 scoops of Django. Can you see that? No, you can't. Well, that's not good. I was hoping to like show you some 2 scoops of Django here, but let me at least. Okay, so I'm gonna paste in. So we have the introduction and we have coding standards. So this right here is LaTeX that you're seeing, and I just pasted it in. So this would be coding style, and yeah, oh, sorry. Let me, thank you. If I can see it, you should be able to see it. Okay, so I pasted in this bunch of thing, and I can see if I can. Just gonna fix a little bit of this. Okay. I'm just gonna skip through this really. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so all right, so now if I build the book, and if I refresh, there we go. So we can see that we have a, it looks a little bit different. Yeah, so yeah, Django plus RabbitMQ plus Celery, that is the typical service for when you're dealing with high volume loads of Celery, although a lot of small projects use it too, because with tools like Cookie Cutter Django that handles that setup for you, it's trivial to implement and deploy, and that's fine. So Write or Not will not be a local project. This isn't an open source project. This is a commercial effort. This is absolutely going to be running entirely within the cloud. I actually even talked about billing earlier. The dream is, of course, that this is going to have 1 million authors who will then be putting these books that they're building up on Amazon, and I'll become famous. The reality is that I'll probably have. Well, thank you. That's Tailwind's Tailwind UI or Tailwind CSS and Tailwind UI. So yeah, the reality is I'll be lucky if I have 1,000 users. But at my pricing scheme, 1,000 users, that will be probably around $5,000 or $6,000 a month. So that's the dream. Yeah, so here, let me show you Tailwind. Yeah, I mean, if I could, so yeah, Tailwind CSS, I've done some work early on streaming with this, and like, for example, this, which I need to fix, is a Tailwind bug. Well, thank you, Joey. Joey is Matharoni. He's lives like what 5 miles away from me here in Los Angeles. We do jujitsu together. All right, so the next thing that we have to do, because this is, so if remember we started our I'm gonna go back here. We have our builds, right? I'm gonna go to the admin, and what I'm not doing every time I'm building this is I'm not tracking that I'm building builds. So let's do that. Let's add in builds. So we even have build right here, so I should be doing something with it. So let's do I think what we need to do is, if we look at builds, and we're gonna create a build, and we see that there we have so there's created, error, finish. I realize we need to add in an in progress status. So let's do that. Actually, okay, so we now have an in progress status. So here we're gonna, do I need to create a migration for that? Let's see. Yes, I do. Okay, so, oh, Lahore Maker, oh, you're genius, of course. So that means that my deadline then is October, like early October, so I can like start promoting it. Oh, that's awesome. Yes, I'm definitely going to promote this with Nanowrimo. For those of you who don't know, Nanowrimo is a monthly or yearly event. It's a national writing month, a national November writing month, and it is where authors around the world get together and they try to write, is it a 40,000 word book with it in November? I think that's what it is. And there's trackers for it. There's an official site that last year was like they rebuilt it, and it was really hard to use. This would be awesome to promote at that time. Awesome. And we could even have like, yeah, we could do promotions and stuff like that. Lahore Maker, do you have the, let's see, Nanowrimo. Yeah, it's nanowrimo.org, and I don't know if they fixed the problems in the site yet. Hopefully they did. They get lots of contributions, so they should. Okay, so where were we? So I need to create the build. So we're gonna do build equals build.objects.create, and so I need a builder and a book. I have that, so builder ID equals user ID. Remember, if you remember, even though I don't have builder ID because this is a foreign key, there's an implicit builder _ ID, so I can just use that. And then also I need the book ID, which I have. And that again, because it's a foreign key, there's an implicit book _ ID right here. So I have the build. The build is start build. As soon as we get to let's say, where should we say that it is in progress? I think right here, because this is compiling the book's content. I actually no, because I think really it is yeah, right before here, because this is, we've gotten the book, now we're build status equals build dot status dot in progress. Okay, and then build dot saved. So here we get the build, we get the book, we change the status, and the reason why we oh, and something else we should do, try and we're going to do except book dot does not exist. And so I'm not going to start tracking all the errors that we can generate here. I want to be able to isolate individual errors so that way we can have explicit log messages. So build dot log dot append book dot status equals book dot status. Oh, build dot status is build dot status and then error. So append book with book does not exist. Build dot save. So yeah, we can do stuff like this, or hey, the book doesn't exist, so let's say that it doesn't exist. Okay, so let's see if that works. Okay, so nothing blew up on us, but let's yeah, this and test should work as well. But the test is kind of meaningless. Like if I do coverage HTML, I'll show you something. Open HTML cov index. Can you see that? Yes, that is showing up. Let me change my screen a little bit. Right. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'm gonna try to just not show the tree view, because I think it's easier on y'all if I don't use a tree view. But if I go into builds.views, you can see that we're not testing this yet. So let's see if we test it, what we get. And yeah, there's other things that are not working. I mean, that we haven't tested, but really it's this that I care about at the moment. I just want to have this function in particular be really, really well tested. Okay, so let's dig in. Closing a couple things on my desktop so I can see a little bit better. All right, so if I go to test views and I go here, def test build book, and then book does not exist, and pass in Actually, I don't need to pass in anything. Yeah, hey Lahore Maker, I'll be like check my schedule. It was great to have you, and share with us your Hugo site when it's done. I've wanted to get into Hugo, I just haven't had the time, and I think it's awesome stuff. So yeah, next time share with us. Okay, so where was I? So I'm checking book does not exist. So I'm gonna do uh, so what I want to do is this right now is not a good thing because we should raise an error with this, right? So what I want to do is, where is it? If I go to views, let's go to book.html and raise. Okay, so the way this works is because I'm doing raise without anything, it should, when this is done, raise a book error. Oh, awesome! Yeah, I'd love to. Well, show us the progress. Maybe even stream yourself if you have good upstream. Stream yourself. It's not that hard to get started, and or if you're not comfortable doing that, then again, just share with us, and we can tell you our thoughts and maybe make some suggestions and stuff like that. If Wagtail supports Tailwind yet, then I suggest you try to look at it. I don't really know too much about Wagtail though. So yeah. All right, so let's look at this. So I have to cert let's see. So okay, see you later, Hormaker. Okay, so this is going to create an exception. How do we test errors in pytest? I'm like completely blanking on that. Pytest assert error. Oh, pytest raises, that's right. So this will be with pytest raises, and then what I want is from models import build. And I need this model here because I'm testing to see whether or not we have a does not exist if it's being raised when we build our book, and like the book ID is what's a value that we're probably never going to have, and then user ID equals. Let's make it even bigger. Like I doubt the chances of both of these being caught by the test are minimal. So this should give us an error. So what's going to happen is the one thing I do want though is this is book. So if the book does not exist, let's grab the book. The actual book model, and then what we should be able to do when this happens is grab the last error. And so this book ID is, so if I do build equals build build.objects get, let's see, so the question is, so if I go here, this may break here because we're trying to create on a book ID that doesn't exist. It should break, so it won't even get to book that does not exist, it'll start with a build error. So let's see what happens. Yeah, this should not be successful at all, now that I think about it, because we're breaking a foreign key constraint. Yep. So here, the error is, oh, it's giving a user does not exist. Well, that is awesome. That the first place we ran into an error is with the hey, I need to pause for a second because we have someone looking at the air conditioning. So let me do that. I'll be, not for a second, but a few minutes. I will be right back because we don't currently have air conditioning. It's gonna get hot. So give me. Oh, are you good? Okay. All right. So that's fine. The air conditioning guy just waved at me, so I think I can keep going. So let's so what's interesting about this is that we are getting a user does not exist error, and let's actually, I'm not too worried about the user not existing, so I'm not going to test that. And to avoid testing that, I think I can do from writer not dot users dot tests dot factories import user factory. Okay, so I think I can do user equals user factory, and then okay. So let's try it again and see if we can trigger a build constraint error. Okay, so excellent. So what we're having is an integrity error. This book ID does not exist, and so our ORM is barfing, and I'll show you where this is happening. So if I go to the build, the first or the second field in is this book field, and I can't even create a record. I mean, because I'm passing in something that doesn't exist, it's throwing an integrity error on this foreign key. So to address that, because I haven't even had a chance to test what I'm trying to test yet, which is fine. Let's see, we're going to do django.db.utils. Actually, we'll just do integrity error, and then let's see, we have, let's just put that here. Oops. Hold on. It's not what I want to type. So from django.db.utils.integrity error, import. Okay. And you might be saying, hey, am I really worried about someone triggering this error? And the answer is, I kind of am. Let's do, so here, if someone passes this in, I think, like, if someone hacks in the system to try to create this and it calls this asynchronous function, because we don't have a book yet to call against, I think what we want to do is we want to do pass. Okay, that we're not even getting to the build process. So let's, okay, so there we go. So we're going to put a try catch around the whole entire statement. Actually, this is what we should do. This is actually not where we want to do, except integrity error. Okay. Let me make this smaller so I can see it. Okay, and then we'll put in another try catch. There we go. So this is a little bit simpler. All right, so this test views, we do kind of need a book. It's almost like we need two books. So let's bring in the book factory. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll have book 1 equals book. Actually, we're gonna have book again. Okay, so this is gonna create a book for us, but we need a second book. Book 2 equals book book factory. Okay, so all right, so what's going to happen is book 1 is book1.id, okay, and now we have book 2, creator.id. So this is where, because this book 1 and book 2, I guarantee you have two different users created for them because they're both running the book factory. So this, we're going to see what this should not be able to create a build, and we're going to see what error that we get. Null value and creator ID. What? Why do we have? How on earth do we have a null value there? So hold on for a second. So let me just see what we have for the let's see, we have here under factories. Let's see what we have for how we define it. So this right here, because we pass in the user factory. Okay, hold on, I'm almost there. Okay, so because we have to pass in the creator. Okay, perfect. So, and I believe user factory is imported already. I'll do that so you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. And now let's run the test. Oh yeah, I did. Okay, now it passes. And now if I do HTML coverage, here, let me run it again so we can all see. Okay, so and now if we open, all right. So as we can see, our views are almost there. Let's now test this error real quick. Def test build creator does not match. Okay, so now if we do test and we test the book build, build book, book does not exist. And now we're going to have, this is where we do basically, and we have our, where's our integrity error? We'll just grab that. All right, and so here we're going to take the create ID for the book, and however, we're going to make up a bogus book ID, and that will, because this doesn't exist, it's going to throw an integrity error when it tries to create the book, or when it tries to find the book, or create the build for the book. It's going to say, no, you can't do that. All right, we have an error. I thought, wait a second. That's weird that it, yeah, that's the error I'm trying to throw. Why is it? Running the test. All right, and now the question is, why did I get an integrity error? If I'm raising integrity error right here, why is it that it wasn't? Okay, let's see if we can raise that error without blowing things up. Here we go. So failed. Yeah, book ID is not. This is so weird. Like, I'm literally trying to catch this error, and I'm wondering how, like, maybe the right answer is because we're getting the book. You know, this is like putting in a lot of work that we don't need to do. The answer is to simplify. Like, we're getting too fancy, and this is a problem with, as you get, like, every programmer runs into this. So what we should be doing is this. See that? So this way, if the book ID, if we can't find the book, we don't even try to build the book. Like, why even check an integrity error? That's going to be hard, you know, apparently is hard to test. And while I could spend a bunch of time trying to figure this out, why should I bother when I can just reorder this a little bit? And then where I can change this is I can move this does not here to, there we go. This is what I do. Okay, so first thing we do is, if the book doesn't exist, we handle it. We log it and move on. So let's see how this works. And then, clearly I forgot something. Oh yeah. So we haven't, yeah. So easy to overcomplicate what you're doing, and it's sometimes good to just go back and be like, all right, what can I do to simplify everything that I'm doing? All right, here we go. Local. So here we go. So at the moment, we're logging this information. If the book doesn't exist, why are we trying to log that it doesn't exist? It doesn't make any sense. So I think the answer here is I think the best thing that we can do actually is this. So we use getObjector 404. Like, this is what I should have done in the first place. Sorry everyone. Sometimes, like, everyone falls for this, right? It's important that, and it's kind of nice that you get to see what happens when I do this, because people often think, I mean, yeah, because I can absolutely do things the wrong way. And then Okay, and now we can just make this a little bit easier to read. There. So something really straightforward. This will work. And go book. So hold on, sync to async. Oh, I see right here. Okay, let's try it again. Oh, what did I just do? Book is not defined. I can type. I can really type. All right, so book is not defined. So step 2 is, all right, so clearly when we call the book. There we go. Another error. Let's see what we have. Cannot resolve keyword book ID in the field. So nearly there. All right, so you might be wondering, hey, why are you calling it twice? Why are you checking here and potentially generating a 404? And then why are you calling it here? Well, the reason for that is, remember, this is going to happen asynchronously, and I want to put in serializable values for when I turn this into like a Zappa task, which is probably what it's going to have to be. So passing in the book object isn't going to work because it's a Django model, instantiated Django model record. So this lets the user know that it is that the view can or cannot find the book, and then this is on the back end in the asynchronous process that this is going to be. This calls it again because if this is often a celery task or something like that, we're going to have to get the object anyway. And this is part of the reality of doing async, is that sometimes you have to get objects multiple times. Now, before you worry too much about performance issues, keep in mind that Postgres, and I'm guessing MySQL, will cache recent database SQL queries. So if it finds it once, it will cache the record, and then it will then get it again, and instead of hitting the database itself, it will hit it in memory. So this isn't, yeah, this is one of those things where it's just one of the prices that you pay. I mean, it's not as bad as doing two different SQL calls, but because they're identical, it should run pretty fast and just hit memory on the server. So, all right, so this is all untested now. Did I totally get rid of? I don't know why. Wow, this is like not working at all. Like not showing anything being tested. It was working great, wasn't it? Oh. Am I? Hold on. Let me run this again. Maybe it's. Okay, there we go. So I'm not sure what happened. We had a bogus. Because I was like, why is everything out? So all right, this is fine then. And now it also makes testing it independently a bit more straightforward. Okay, so let's I don't want to use I'm just trying to think. What I want to do now is, if I cycle through this, all the chapter body here, I'll show you. Oh, actually, you can't see what I'm seeing. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, this is what I was looking at, and you still can't see what I'm seeing. Okay, so see all the test coverage, it's clear. My apologies there, I didn't realize you could not see what I was seeing. Okay, so now what I want to do is right now, if let's say I'm looking at coding style, and when I render out the book, where's the rendered book? Don't I have it somewhere around here? Hold on, let me see if I can get it in. Open. Because that's not very helpful. Open. What does it generate? It generates book. That's right, book. Okay, so that's the test, but if I run it off of the book, if I build the book, so interesting how our test failed, but this didn't fail. Cannot resolve keyword book ID into field, and I think that's because in the views, so let's check Django debug toolbar and see what we have in the request. So here's a book ID. Where is this error happening then? Self.request. Here, let's debug this really quick. I broke my thing. So book ID. Oh, that's why. Okay, so now if I open book ID. Okay, so as we can see, this right here is an H2. If I look at the source, see I have H2. So here's a chapter title, and then this is the section, and this is text from 2 scoops of Django. But and then chapter breaks we can automate based off of the H1s. But if a user does this, let's if I go to coding style and I turn the importance of making code readable, oops, and then I build the book again, see that this is, if I view this source, you can see that we have 2 H1s. So it's really problematic. So one of the things we have to do is we need to, this chapter body, we need to add an extra pound to any line that starts with the pound. But we don't want to save it to the actual book itself. And so let's see if we can make that happen. So let's do let's see, def convert. What would this be? Add pound to headers body, and then and we're gonna specify a string just to make things easier on so for line and body. So for one of the nice side effects of doing this is, see how I know Python, VS Code knows exactly what I have, so I can do split lines and it'll split it by lines. If I get rid of this string, because Python's dynamic, it can't guess, it can't infer, so the drop down of options that I have go away. But again, if I do, now you're seeing one of the advantages of especially in view functions like this, it's because it's hard to remember the complex object types like requests and stuff like that. But in simple functions like this, it really does help, like IDE work. So split lines. So now, if line dot starts with, and we're not going to worry about if it's indented at this time, because I think actually maybe we kind of need to do that. So line dot strip dot starts with pound, then we want to add a pound to that. So let's see, so, and then we can't just do, because we need to preserve tabbing in, because Markdown allows, I think, does it? I don't think. Let's see what happens. Hold on, before we do anything, let's see what happens if I go into our introduction and this is a header 2, and then this is a header 2. Okay, so now if I render this, let's see what happens. And if we, let me bring this over here. Okay, so according to this spec, it doesn't care. Like we shouldn't worry about this at all. It just considers it a pound. And if we look at the results, this is a header 2, so it converts it to a paragraph. So we're gonna follow that specification for now, so we can get rid of this strip. So if it starts with, if they are against the edge, then we'll add this. So let's see. So line equals, let's just do it this way, pound line. Okay, so there. And now what we do is we're going to return. Oh, and I think what we need to do is add lines. I think we could do some of this with the walrus operator, but I don't understand the walrus operator yet. So, and then we just do join, and then lines. Oh, one more thing. Line dot append line. Okay, so now you see how it works. So we define a lines list. We split the body by lines. This is a chapter body. If the line starts with pound, it has to be starts with, like there's no stripping, then we're going to add a pound sign to it, and then at the beginning, just so that way we prevent the users from accidentally breaking chapters, because they put in H1s into the rest of it, because a lot of author software looks for what are essentially H1s to determine where chapter breaks are. This isn't our decision, this isn't our pattern, this is for tools like Vellum, for KDP Create, and other author tools. So, and then we combine it back into, we join it all back up. And so now we can do add pound to headers, and if you see right here, the importance of making your code readable should not be the same size as this. So that's going to be our test. And some of these will, of course, be brought into into like a utility function. Oh, what does not have oh, lines. Okay, and then there we go. So you saw how that shrunk from being the same size of this, and if we look at the results, the importance of making your code readable is where we want it to be. And that means that even though within this I have defined this as a a header, I'm not going to break the chapter breaks within the book when it's rendered. And again, I can't overstate how I know I'm taking away some of the control from the user, but this is just going to be a worse headache to deal with. All right, since we've made a bunch of changes, let's do a commit what we have. Let's increase the size of our terminal so we can see where we are. I think I want to put this in my git ignore. So we have book.html and input.md. Builds and for to add first basic build system and include for library. Okay, awesome. So we have that done. All right, so what else do we need to get done here? Because this is our basic build system. It is running asynchronously, but as we know that this actually runs slowly, which the user just, hey guys, the user they will type what they are going to type. If they want to do that, which is what they may assume to do, then at the moment it will create H3s for them. So let me think. You raise a really good point. I mean, we could put in something really simple that's like, if I have an idea, if 2 pounds in chapter got body, then what we do, and this is a little bit simplistic, but I think it's okay, then we can do body equals chapter body. There. So if they, oh wait, actually that's not really what we want. This will take a little bit of work. This is definitely an issue to account for, which is the user may not know what's going on, that they need to use H, like that they need to use H1s. I think I need to think about how we're going to implement this a little bit, because does this work? I can't remember what the spec is. Oh, hold on. I need to build. Okay, so interesting. So I think if we can code to this. So if pound sign with a space is in chapter body, it means that we have a problem. So actually, hold on. I think I have a better way of doing this. Oh, I think if this is in it, so we'll do hold on. Okay, there we go. So if they have this, then it'll treat it as if so if I go back to coding style and then I add this and then we build the book and see what the book is. So see how with now coding style it does that, but if I do 2, it should have the same result. It does. Oh, hold on. I didn't test yet. Okay. What happened? Coding style. Okay, so clearly I have to address something. So if this is in the chapter body, hold on. So that's gonna modify it. We're gonna build the book, refresh, and it is, but I don't have pound sign this in chapter body. I don't have, what? Oh, because it's starting at the beginning of the line. That was so naive of me. This isn't gonna tell me anything. Let's see. This is a regular expression. So I think I can do, I don't want to do a regular expression, but I'm worried I have to. Let's see, where is this? So if I have this, yeah, I have to do a regular expression. Okay, so it is search, not match. That's right. Okay, so if where are we? So if let's see if we can come up with our sample search. Okay, regex tester. We can go to Python, and then I think what we can do is we can do -n -pound -s. And then if I change this, let's see if I get a match. I have a match. Okay, so this is the regex. It's really simple. re.search. So if re.search, I guess we have to do r, and then chapter.body. So basically it's looking for, hey, I have a carriage return, pound sign, this, except for, so this is one option. Or we do re.match, so it's the start of the string, So that's at the very beginning. So it is, whoops, why did that got reordered? That was so weird. So let me move this over so we can all see it better. So, okay, so as soon as they include that, it should, there we go. Now it's like, hey, you, if a regex finds an H1, markdown H1. Okay, so this should work. Should be the operative term. Okay, so we're gonna build the book. Ah, we forgot to include the chapter body. Okay. All right, and now if I refresh, so there it is. That is an H2. Yep, H2, and then if I now this should also be an H2. Yep, that is an H2, so no difference whatsoever. Whew, okay, thank goodness. Yeah, I used to be, I'm pretty good with regex now. I used to be fantastic with them before I jumped into Python. The thing I got out of Perl using it, oh my god, it was like about 20 years ago. Wow, was that long ago? I got out of it was regex, and that became a superpower that I had for using when I got into Java and during that sad part of my life. And then it took me a while to get off of it with Python. But there are times where it's really, really useful, and this is one of those circumstances. Okay, so where are we? We're building books. We have word counts. So I think what I want to do now is actually, yeah, let me think. I guess I really should work on test coverage because this view isn't showing. Oh, another thing I want to do is, and I know I need to clean up the UI a bunch. I want to have a view into the builds for a book. I think what I want to do is when you're in a book, you know what's really bothering me is this navigation window. Let me commit what I have, and I'm gonna fix that thing. More intelligent headers. I know I need to do like a list of books, but this is getting really embarrassing in my opinion. So let's see if we can fix it really quick. So this I think is the nav bar, and okay, so where's instruction? So let's see if Tailwind in UI components, and this is the nav bar. Oh, this is the profile. Maybe it's nav bar. Let's see their code example. Show hide based on drop-down state. I think they mentioned somewhere. So it requires JS, and it works with Alpine now, which here we go, Alpine. Element needs different classes apply on some states like text, so we list the classes for each state and a comment directly above the element. So okay, so without let's see if I hide. We're going to see what happens when I hide the dropdown. Okay, so Alpine JS, I think we have Alpine running across the project. Let me just. Yeah, I thought, yeah, up all the way up here under page data. Okay, so okay. So I think what we do is we're gonna do hide. The hide I think is gonna work. Or hidden. Okay, so now where is isn't there like an Alpine JS page for this? I was doing this just a few days ago. Alpine JS examples. Okay, so I think now I remember. It is X on I think it would be like X on hover. Oh. Okay, and then I think what we do is see what their tutorial is. Data doesn't tell me anything. Maybe it's X for. So the tutorials right now, people are basically copying the docs. Show profile equals true. Okay, and then maybe this is X show equals Okay, so let's see what happens. And not doing anything yet. Let's try click. We'll do X click. Oh. So show profile here. Let's see what happens. And it's still not liking me. Huh. So xshow is open. Let me do a Alright, let's see what happens. We're going to run this, and then still not working. Huh. I was just doing this the other day, too. Where are we? I want to do this and then, well, I think, yeah, I'm using it correctly. X click, show profile. Oh, show profile equals true. Let's see if that works. So I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna look into this because actually I can figure this out. Here we go. Helpful examples. Introduce. These aren't examples. Here we go. Here are examples. Cards for search, modal, responsive nav bar, accordion, carousel, date picker, some awesome stuff. Let's see what. Main and layout list. And see, I have base.html, show profile is false, and then am I actually clicking on what I think I'm clicking? Like, maybe this is what, maybe I'm not even clicking on anything. That would, okay, so Wow, why am I like completely blanking on this? Show false. Button click show equals show. And then so this should show equals. Okay, so they don't use any kind of evaluation there. Here's an idea. Look at that. So if I do this, now it appears. So okay, I think that's good enough for now. Maybe we can just do this. I want to see how they're doing this. So here they do show. All right, so well, I think that's good enough for now. Now at least the default is that it's closed, and except for here. And I think I know what the problem is. I think having it at this level here is naive. So we're going to change this next time. Wonder where else I'm using Xdata. Xdata. Oh, just there. So I don't know why this doesn't like me. Maybe we will just have to hide this while people are at this level. We'll see. All right, so it's 2 o'clock, and I have to go and do some other things, but thank you so much for coming and watching and seeing me stumble through the last little bit of Tailwind. I actually will commit that for now. Not Tailwind, that was Alpine JS. I've been digging so much into Python, I've been forgetting my DOM manipulation with Alpine JS. So maybe at some point there's some other cleanup that we need to do with the templates. But Monday I will be doing, or next one, I'll be both updating 2 scoops of Django, the tables, as well as taking Webpack tutorial, because again, I don't know Webpack. I should know Webpack. If you're doing any kind of work with templates, be it a vanilla JavaScript, calling a few libraries here and there, or Vue or React, if you don't know Webpack, it is a handicap, and it is one that I plan to beat. If you don't know Webpack, here's your chance to do it along with me. And if you do know Webpack, then you can come and help me when I get stuck, or help us when I get stuck. So again, thanks, and I will see everybody soon. I'm just going to commit real quick. Oh, if you haven't yet, please follow my feed. Once I get to 250 followers, I'm going to do a silly dance or a zombie style jiu-jitsu technique, Brazilian jiu-jitsu technique, which Joey and I haven't figured out yet, but maybe we'll figure out something. So profile now hidden by default. So well, thank you again. Have a nice weekend. I might be on here or there to stream, and if I am, I hope you join me. So take care. Have a good weekend. Don't forget to follow or subscribe. Bye.